The time is 6 p.m. and the October 20th, 2025 regular meeting of the Lebanon City Schools Board of Education will now come to order. If you can stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry colors. Colors turn. Arch.
Thank you. They're going to join us here in a minute. Moving on to agenda number 3, Ms. Irvin, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. McCutcheon?
Here.
Mr. Gliotti?
Here.
Mr. Lane?
Here.
Mrs. Dalton? Mrs. Cope?
Here.
Are we ready? Thank you. So if you could introduce yourself, tell us your class rank and what your goal is after high school and what your dream job might be when you're done.
Hi, I'm Henry Pizza. I'm a junior, and my dream job would be an aerospace engineer in the United States Air Force.
Hi, I'm Zoe Ansberry. I'm a sophomore, and I plan to enlist in the United States Marine Corps after high school.
I'm Josiah Wilson. I'm a junior, and I also plan to be an aerospace engineer in the Air Force.
Hi, I'm Mike Cattell. I'm a sophomore, and I also plan to be an aerospace engineer.
Excellent. Excellent. Go ahead, say it. Nothing? All right. You'll get me next meeting, okay? Thank you. So it's like the third or fourth meeting, no one has said they wanted to be a superintendent, so it's noted. Agenda item 4, adoption of the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to adopt tonight's agenda as presented.
So, second?
Any questions, comments, or corrections on this evening's agenda? Hearing none, Ms. Irvin, the roll, please.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Agenda number 5, communications and reports. Our first is hearing of the public, and we have so we're going to open the floor for public comment. Any resident of Lebanon City School District having a legitimate interest in the actions of the board may participate during the public portion of the meeting. All statements are limited to 5 minutes per person or 30 minutes in total, and shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. The presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when a statement is too lengthy, personally directed, repetitive, abusive, obscene, or irreverent. And when you come to the podium, if you could please state your first and last name and your relationship to the district. This evening, we have one person speaking, Alexander Langdon.
My name's Alex Langdon, and I live in the district. My name is Alex Langdon, and I'm a junior, but I no longer attend Lebanon High School. In May 2024, I was walking out of the high school after a band parent meeting when 2 parents approached me. They began yelling at me because they thought I called their daughter a derogatory name. When my dad realized what was going on, he stepped in between us and continued to yell. As we walked out of the high school, they continued to yell and follow us to the parking lot. After this, I wanted to quit band, but the band director's promise would be okay. It was not. The daughter of this family told students that she had a restraining order against me, but she did not. The sons of the family would follow me and watch me while reporting back to their parents. As a result of this incident in May, my parents were banned from volunteering. My mom wasn't even there, and my dad was only involved to stop the parents from yelling at me. The school said that my parents could not volunteer or be with me the entire school year. My mom was sending me at a band competition. She was told to move because the daughter claimed she had a restraining order. She did not. I did not continue into the winter season because the fall season was so stressful. I felt like the school was doing nothing to make sure I was safe and supported. While attending a competition for my sister's winter guard student, Mr. and Mrs. Clark, the parents who approached me, followed me and spread rumors about me when they were volunteering. My parents were banned for the entire school year, an incident in a day, but they were permitted to volunteer. After seeing them, I realized I would not be safe at this school, despite police reports showing what actually happened. You didn't care. You hate for my mom over the staff payment issues a few years ago. You stopped your job from protecting all students. I decided there was no chance I'd ever be safe at Lebanon, so I transferred to another school after being here since kindergarten. I won't graduate with any of my friends because of you. My high school experience at Lebanon was awful. My parents tried to convey this to you, but you wouldn't listen. They spoke at school board meetings, and you claimed and you disagreed with her and closed the issue. How can you disagree with the fact that my brother, sister, and I were harassed by parents and students that you allowed it to happen? Those are our feelings, and you wouldn't do anything to help us. You didn't reply to my parents' emails, and the superintendent refused to meet with my parents. You can't just ignore reports of bullying because you don't like the parents making the report. If this is one of your children, would you have handled it that way? You have failed me. If this is how you handle reports of bullying, you need to do better. I'm here today because I need to understand why you let this happen. That's it.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for your comments.
I have a question on how, if your process has improved, I guess, since Alex's situation.
I'm sorry.
He was here because he wanted to understand how you could let that happen. That's what his question is.
Well, we can set up a meeting. We're not going to have an open debate in this meeting. Okay.
He just wants some.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
like I said, we've tried this. They've all failed to happen.
Mhm.
Because of just no responses or you just didn't feel like it.
Mhm.
This is the only option is to come to meetings, and he was really upset when you said the issue was closed in August, that he was a very quiet kid and was brave enough, so I'm very proud of him.
No, I think
We've
it's-
asked for lots of meetings. Unfortunately, this is the only way that anybody will even look at us. And it's really unfortunate because it's his life. I mean, he has been here since kindergarten. It's my daughter's life. And I understand that you may not like me. And unfortunately, a lot of you really don't know me. We've never actually had any conversations. But my poor children were bullied out of this district. And I really hope that you at least hear my child and understand that it takes a lot of courage to come here and talk to you guys who have repeatedly ignored this for a couple of years. Like you said, there were two separate issues. There was one with me, which I agree is closed. It's in the past. It's fine. But the other issue was the issue going on with my children. And that was never addressed because you were so focused on me. And that's really unfair to my kids and to other kids in the district if they're experiencing this. So that's why he's here.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for your comments.
Alex, I'd like to thank you for coming tonight. Okay, thank you for sharing your perspective. When issues of bullying or things are addressed, those are handled at the building level. And it's to my understanding that Mr. Reynolds was involved in those discussions and dealing with student discipline and student concerns. That is not a matter for the board when it comes to that issue, and that is not something that I am involved with as the superintendent to deal with student complaints of bullying or things in the buildings. And so I'll review what conversations, and we can pull those records. Mr. Reynolds is no longer with us as a district, but that's the appropriate place that should have been taking place. not at the board meeting and not with a meeting with me. And so I wanted to say that that's the appropriate place that should have been taking place. And to my knowledge, those conversations and meetings and conversations did happen. But that's, again, so
appreciate that,
I want,
and I agree with you.
And I will follow up with Mr. Severs this week too, or just come back to the office. And I will say, Alexander, I get nervous when I speak. You know, I thought you did a pretty good job. You know, good for you.
thank
So,
you.
All right.
So
All right.
I wanted to answer that. I wanted to acknowledge that there's a reason that meeting doesn't happen with me. That's the appropriate place is the building level. So.
When it doesn't get addressed, is the next appropriate step to reach out to you? Because we didn't get a reply to know what direction that would have been.
If things are not handled at the building level in the appropriate way, then the superintendent would be the appropriate place to do that. And those matters that you're talking about tonight, the meetings that you requested with me previously were about employment issues and things that you have. And that's what, so
We won't argue about it, but I
Sorry.
would say there were meetings requested about my children that were not addressed and were ignored. But I agree, my
Yep.
issue is over, it's
Yep.
done, it's in the past, and
Yep.
I don't even think it should be brought up. When
Yep.
the issue about my children came up and us being harassed at color guard competitions, that was what was not addressed and was very much ignored, and I'm very disappointed that my children, on their own, made the choice to leave the district. And that is a testament to how I feel like you're kind of ignoring the real people behind these issues.
Okay. And we hear you. All right. Thank you. So in agenda number 5, item B is our student board member update. Ms. Berger, you have the floor.
Awesome. So October is very fundraiser heavy for Student Council. We do a lot with October Pink. One of our biggest fundraisers in October is selling our pink out shirts. You can see them in the picture on the far left, and then the cheer team on the far right wearing them this year. With the help of the tennis, soccer, volleyball, and cheer teams, as well as selling them during the school day and at lunch, we sold out of almost all of our t-shirts. Didn't sell out, but almost all of them. And then another fundraiser we do, which this one is one of my favorite ones, is Student Council Locker Bay on Friday before the game. I love this one because it's so funny to see people's faces just light up when they see that there's donuts in the locker bay between students and teachers. It's a super quick, super easy fundraiser. And with selling the t-shirts and selling donuts, as well as other donations, we $1,500 donated to the Pink Ribbon Good Foundation, supporting women with breast cancer. So that's one of Student Council's biggest things we do in October. Another thing with Student Council is we're starting community service events. So each month, a different Student Council class is going to pick a community service event, and they're going to sponsor it for that month. So this month, our juniors kicked us off. They volunteered with Family Promise this morning. So they gave up their off day, their Monday on their fall break, and went and partnered with Family Promise. I reached out to one of them and asked how it was, and she said it was hard. They did a lot of cleaning, a lot of work this morning, but that'll be a rolling agenda. I'll update you on that each month. Seniors are next month. We get to pick our community service event, and I'm really excited for that. I reached out to Mr. Pantling and asked if he had any athletic updates for me that he would want me to share, and he sent me quite a few, so I'm going to quickly run through these. This one was the multiple school records we've had set in volleyball by seniors Ava Long and Madison Kyle. As a senior, it's really cool to see other seniors having a successful season, and I'm really happy for them. They've both set multiple records. My favorite tradition when it comes to sports is our Walk of Champions. So Olivia Donovan qualified for state in golf last year as a sophomore and then qualified again this year. In our Walk of Champions, anytime we have an individual or team qualify for state, the student body lines the hallways. We all line the hallways throughout the entire school, and the state qualifiers get to walk through, and the rest of the student body just claps and cheers them on. It's one of my favorite things. It shows a sense of community and the student body coming together to support one of our peers. I love it. Olivia had hers. There's a picture of her with the biggest smile after her Walk of Champions. It's one of my favorite things, and if you ever get to see it, it's really cool. Our football updates. Right now we have a 6-2 record, and if we win one more game this season, it'll be our first time having a 3 consecutive 7-win season for the first time since 2003. So let's cross our fingers for this Friday,
We did
our
it.
home game.
We did it. We're 7-3.
We did?
Or 7-2. Yeah. So you
I
made this
really
before.
keep up on football here.
You made this before Friday.
I
That's
did.
the answer.
I made it
Caitlin.
Tuesday last
You made it
week.
before Friday.
I did
So
not go to
we
the game on
currently have
Friday.
accomplished that. Good job.
Well, look at us go. Go football.
Yay, sports.
Yay! I'm not a football girl. The war zone is a lot for me on Fridays. But yay, us. Number 4. At this Friday's football game, we're going to be giving the state champion softball team, we're going to be giving them rings during halftime. So maybe it'll be our 8th win during the halftime of that football game. And I'm really excited for them. They made history last year, and I love that we keep celebrating them. And then our last athletic update, this surprised me. We currently have 102 student athletes competing at the next level, either in college or professionally. I didn't know that number, and now it's burned into my brain. I think that is such a cool little fact about our athletics. And then on our college fair, we had that 2 weeks ago at Lebanon. It's an annual event Lebanon puts on, and sophomores through seniors throughout the school day, we get called in groups to go down and visit the college fair. Colleges from all over the state and even some out of states send representatives to set up a table, and juniors, sophomores, seniors get to go down and visit and talk to a rep one-on-one. As someone who's currently trying to make her college decision, this has been incredibly helpful just to get to ask that personal conversation, which I might not get from newsletters or the several emails I get every hour from different colleges. It's really nice to have that talk with them one-on-one. And then at the end of the day, in the evening hours, Lebanon invites different families or community or like the rest of the community to come to the college fair and see it for themselves. My mom is a senior mom of 2, went this year and came back with pages of notes for me to look over. So she found it incredibly helpful as well. And with that, we had several outside of district families come and visit, which I thought was really cool, that we pulled different families from outside of Lebanon, which gave us the record number of visitors at this college fair. It's a super successful, incredibly helpful event, and I love it. I look forward to it every year. And then my last update, just a quick little updates for seniors. We had graduate services come and visit us a few weeks ago and met with all of the senior class during team and gave us a message on finishing strong as our senioritis starts to kick in a little early this year. Gave us a message on just finishing strong and then gave us updates for graduation. Crazy that we're already starting the graduation reminders, but that information is also being sent home so everyone's on the same page. That's all I have for my update.
One question.
Yeah.
Have you announced yet who the guest speaker is going to be at the National Honor Society's induction ceremony November 20th?
We are keeping it under the rug, but for anybody listening, Roy McCutcheon is our National Honor Society guest speaker.
Mr. McCutcheon, were you in NHS when you were in school?
Was I ever, this will be the first time my name gets called at National Honor Society event.
Well, we're super excited to have you come speak.
Thank you. Moving on to our superintendent's reports, Mr. Severs.
Yeah, so I wanted to give an update. We did this annually, or last year, the first year into the bus purchase that we did. We've actually paid off that first round of buses. Is that true, Mrs. Irvin? Correct? We're on our 3rd year, so we've done this before where we looked at the plan we did, which was to buy new buses with the understanding that we were going to save in some fuel efficiency because the newer buses were more fuel efficient, plus the maintenance costs and things like that. So just as kind of a couple things here, last year we started adjusting the times. We had to adjust a couple buildings 15 minutes, and we got 3 tiered routes. So what is 3 tiered routes for those of you who don't live and understand school transportation world? A bus can go pick up high school kids, first tier, drop them off at the high school. With us moving some times around a little bit, then they can go pick up Berry students and drop them off at Berry and still then have time to go pick up Bowman or Donovan students and get them. And so it allows us to have fewer drivers while still accomplishing all of the routes. For the majority of people, it reduced their route time because of just they're not on the road longer. We're not trying to pick up as many kids. We have fewer buses going to a lot of the buildings because they can run more full then. So that's something that happened last year. We didn't make any changes this year. We've been able to add additional tiers. So for example, the students that live in the neighborhoods on Miller Road, they pick up the junior high students from that. They drop them off at the junior high. Then they'll go get those kids from the high school that live in that neighborhood. And so we've been able to add some additional kind of flexible routes like that where we can fill up a whole bus, get them to the junior high, and then go get the kids in these neighborhoods down the street here on Miller, still get them to the high school on time, and they're only on the bus for 10 minutes, the time from here to there. So they're still trying to find some efficiency in ways like that they can. It's reduced the amount of layover time, so in between routes, you'll notice in the past, we've had buses that would park at the DPC parking lot or at the fairgrounds or different places in between routes because they needed to wait a little bit before they could go out and start their next route. We've been able to reduce that layover time. It does kind of put it where drivers are hustling from one route to the next with very little time in between. But it is, again, we're paying them for driving routes and it gets more efficient that way. And then this year, we added some van routes, and so allows us to take some kids to some of the non-traditional schools that we have to transport them to, either through homeless, or we have to drive outside the district and bring homeless kids that were homeless from here, that live elsewhere, or students that are attending, a special school someplace else. So we haven't been able to add some van routes. Here's where we were 2 years ago before the change. We had 71 routes. When we made the shift last year, we went down to 65. This year, we were able to get down even further to 61. And then the total number of drivers, we have some flex drivers in there. So those flex drivers are people that we hire, and we're paying them a certain number of hours every day, but they're not assigned to a route because we have so many absences. We're going to use those subs daily, and we're kind of being flexible with them. You'll notice 2 years ago, we had 4 three-tiered routes. Now we have 23. That's where the efficiency comes in. We have a couple 4 tiers, which is kind of the route like I talked about here on Miller Road. We do have similar number of aides that we had before. Non-CDL drivers, those are van drivers. And so by doing all of this, we're still pretty much operating, even with fewer drivers, 20 less hours per day. So we have 10 fewer drivers doing roughly the same amount of drive time. So for our drivers, it's been able for them to, increase their pay and things like that, and they're getting more consistent and on longer hours. For us, it's reducing our total number of drivers. There's been a lot of questions. You guys have seen the emails. We've had some people questioning routes and things. We, as of last week, had 4 open routes. So when somebody retires, when somebody resigns, they resign and retire for a lot of different reasons. It takes us a while to fill those routes. I don't think that we would have had any way to operate if we would still be operating at 71 bus drivers every day. The availability of drivers, the availability of employees that are willing to do that job has gone down across the country. And we're very fortunate to be able to staff the routes and things that we have, but we had to make some changes in order to have some things there. So we're now 2 drivers short in terms of CDL routes. Flex drivers, we started the year with 6. We currently have 4. And then van drivers and aides, you'll see we're still a little bit short on aides and CDL flex drivers. Those are the permanent sub people. This is what you guys care about. in terms of, dollars and cents, estimated 3-year savings based off of, we took a random selection of 20 buses. They looked at the maintenance cost of those buses. They looked at the fuel costs. We know the fuel savings. And so over the 3-year period, we've averaged, $56,000 in fuel savings. And then our maintenance cost obviously has gone down a little bit because we've gotten rid of older buses. So the reason that savings was higher in the first year is because we've gotten rid of old buses. The other part is some of those buses that we got now are, some of their warranties and things are starting to wear out. And so we'll have some warranty repairs, but significantly savings on the maintenance cost and on fuel.
And isn't the savings, the maintenance savings is actually probably, we took the worst of the worst out of rotation, right?
Correct. But we also are driving fewer of the old buses now than what we were even doing then, so we've gotten a few more of them off. We took the worst of the worst. We still have some old buses down there.
So that's a conservative savings, and highly likely it's more than that.
Probably. Those are based off of, like I said, pulling, looking at the maintenance cost that we've had. So you'll still see over the 3-year period of implementation of this changes, the savings on maintenance and fuel is $440,000. The cost of a bus now has gone up dramatically from 3 years ago. We bought those buses, they were, I want to say $90,000 was the cost of a bus 3 years ago. They are now anywhere, 115,000, 120,000. I mean, I don't buy large vehicles, but the cost has gone up tremendously, hasn't it, Mr. Gliotti? Yeah, so looking at purchasing new buses, it's even more expensive now than it was 3 years ago. So,
And we're not getting the interest rate we got back then.
yeah. So here are a few things. Estimated private transportation, we're still trying to figure out ways to kind of keep this cost down if possible. But, we have a lot of students that we transport outside of the school district to varying various places across Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, areas, depending on where they go. McKinney-Vento is the homeless student law, and so the student lived in the district at the time they became homeless and then are currently living outside the district, we're required to transport them back to Lebanon City Schools. So we have to pay somebody to come to go get them, to bring them to Lebanon schools. And so we use a private transportation company for a lot of these because it's one kid going to one school someplace. Where we can double up or triple up or put multiple kids on a bus or a van, we are. But we have 10 special education students that we're transporting outside the district right now. The contract that we have is $60 each way, up to 8 miles. Nowhere we transport is 8 miles, or $250 per additional mile. We've shopped that all the time. That's pretty much the rate we get. So it's expensive to transport those 14 kids, 13 different routes. So apparently 2 of them are in the same van or car at some point in time. But that's an expensive, it's an expensive proposition, but we couldn't afford, we don't have enough buses to take them there, and we couldn't do that with one kid going to a spot anyway. So there's something that's kind of a hidden cost of transportation that people don't know about, but it's a very real thing we have. So, any questions about transportation update and the bus purchase program and things?
Not the purchase program, but the driver shortage, Isaac.
Yeah.
It's nationwide. We all know it. It's a job I would never do. But do people understand how difficult of a job it is to be a bus driver? They're up and at the bus garage at what time?
We have some buses that leave the lot. They're there. Some people are there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Because we have some places where a kid gets on the bus at 6 in order to get to the junior high on time, or even before that, because school starts, so early at the junior high. So the first people were probably rolling in between 5 and 5:30. Last week I rode a bus route with one of our drivers in the morning, And it was good to just to talk to him about, he retired he was an accountant. And it's a retirement job for him, and he loves it and loves the kids. Saw how great he was with the kids. But he said it's a really hard job. It's basically 2 full-time schedules. And I was like, they get up, they come to work in the morning, they work for 4 hours, and then they have 3 hours off in the middle of the day. Then they got to come back and work 4 hours again. And so it's really like working 2 jobs because you don't come and stay someplace for 8 hours. So some of these people work in the middle of the day. They go or they work in the evening, and so it's a tough job. Some of these routes have 60, 70 kids on a bus, and they're driving, looking at the road and all of their surroundings, while there's 60 kids behind them that they're trying to make sure stay in their seats and get there safely. And so it is a hard job. I do think that I know this, and we pay very well compared to those around us. Our benefits are very good compared to those around us. We're doing everything we can to try to attract people. We're paying them during their training. We're paying for training at this point in time. We're reimbursing for pretty much any cost they have associated with getting a license and becoming a bus driver. It's a commitment to put in the time to learn how to do it, but also we are trying to remove any barrier we can to that.
Has anybody left after we pay for their training?
I think the way it's worded is that they have to work so many days.
Or they pay it back?
Yes.
All right, that's what I was.
They only get reimbursed after they work a point in time, right?
Okay.
Yes.
My 2 children have had incredible experiences with our bus drivers. They both commented that their bus drivers are the first people aside from us to see them each morning and greeted them, and nothing but positives about our transportation department and the people who are driving our buses.
And your kids have probably had some of the longest routes of anybody in our district as well.
Yes, long rides, but great experiences.
Yeah. I got to see this driver last week. I mean, he built really good relationships with kids, and it was clear that like he knew them when they got on the bus and they talked. And we're going to try to keep doing what we can to provide transportation for everybody that we can. We have a lot of competing interest in places that we have to get kids to and from. And right now, we're busing everybody in our district that wants to sign up for a bus route. So others around us have started to cut things. There's no walk radius. We still offer high school transportation. And I think the only way to do it is to continue to try to make some of these changes that we've made to accommodate for that. So.
Well, I think they were the right choice. I mean, considering now, if those changes weren't made, we would be 14 drivers short. Is that the math that I did in my
That's the
head?
math, correct. We would be 14 drivers short currently if we had not made those changes.
And I reflect back on my time as a student here and on the bus. My driver was Mrs. Lamb, and I had her from 3rd grade to 8th grade. And it was different then, I mean, there was about a 15 to...
Was that a horse-drawn student? Sorry.
I knew it was coming. There was about a 20-minute window where the bus might or might not show up. And if you were too loud, she pulled the bus over and opened the door and told you to get out. And that's how it was then, so, all right.
We're not doing that currently.
You're not-
We're not doing that anymore. Mrs. Lamb doesn't drive for us
She
anymore.
doesn't drive.
She doesn't drive.
That's, well, they all did it.
But I do want to say this, and I think our transportation department does a phenomenal job. The ladies in the office, we have students enrolling or changing addresses pretty much daily in this district. And we're busing, close to 4,000 students every day. And some of those things mean that we have to make some changes in order to keep busing that many students. You may have to walk a little bit further than what you were used to. The bus stop maybe moved a little bit further away to make this happen. But those ladies down there are doing a great job of making it happen, so. Okay, the next thing on my list is slightly more depressing for me. Not because of anything we've done as a district. I'm going to just try to on 3 bills that are currently in committee or in some state of bill becoming law in Columbus that I would like to draw the board's attention to and anybody watching or listening. The first one is House Bill 129. So House Bill 129 passed out of the House last week. You may have seen some issues, some things about it on the news. It was one of the things that the news covered last week. House Bill 129, the original intention of it was to make emergency and substitute levies count against the 20 mil floor. So to try to not bore all of you or to screw up an explanation of school finance, one thing you need to know is Lebanon City Schools has a substitute levy that we passed 3 years ago now. It was a 10-year term substitute levy we had, and it will expire in 2032, I believe is the last year of collection. Because the legislature overrode the governor's veto last month, we will no longer be allowed to renew that substitute going forward. It currently is generating $13 million for us annually, which is 18% of all of our revenue for Lebanon City Schools. So because of that decision, the substitute levy will no longer be an option for us. Why did I say that? Because it matters here is the substitute will now count against the floor if this if this bill passes. But we have an opportunity, and I copied all of you earlier on an email I sent to Senator Wilson. They are considering amendment to this that would allow current emergency levies to be renewed one time at their completion, but not substitutes. I'm asking that they would allow substitutes to be renewed. I recognize they need to be considered under the floor. That's one way that we can stop a lot of the growth from happening for local tax residents, local taxpayers. But also, we need the ability to have a plan. We have a little bit of a runway here between now and 2032, obviously, but asking our taxpayers for something in 2032 that's going to be worth at least $13 million all at once at that time is concerning for me. The second thing is that our taxpayers need to know is that any new levy passed going forward to generate the same amount of money is going to cost local taxpayers more money. So if we let things expire, right now the state of Ohio is paying 10% of any levy that was passed prior to 2014. It's called the rollback. So anything after 2014, the taxpayers are going to pay for it. So right now, of the $13 million levy, the state is paying $1.3 million of that for our residents, and they're paying 11.7. My math correct there? 11.7, right? If we have to go back and ask for $13 million, our local taxpayers are going to pay $13 million, not 11.7. So it's really something that's concerning. I want to keep advocating for it, and losing the ability to do an emergency and substitute through that veto process and overriding the veto is very concerning for me and damaging to us, probably more so than most places in the state of Ohio. We may be the poster child for the biggest impact of a substitute levy going away in the state. There aren't very many to begin with, and we have one of the largest ones. The second.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I think we also did the substitute levy because all the new homes projected in Lebanon would chip in, where
Correct.
today they do, but it lowers the tax. So it's
Doesn't give us any more money under a
no
traditional
extra
levy.
revenue for all the extra students if the
Correct.
substitute goes away.
Correct. And right now, the substitute is growing with the new growth, but not because of inflationary growth. Not because of home values growing, but because of new growth.
And to be fair, we passed that substitute levy to save our taxpayers money. Is that,
We did it so that our current taxpayers can pay the same amount of money, and the substitute would allow it to grow with new growth,
with new growth? And
that we wouldn't have to ask them for new money sooner. So it was strategic.
Yeah, it makes the new growth, the new homes responsible more.
Yes.
That,
And the other part of it is that we did it for, and those of you who were on the board at the time, we made the conscious decision to do it for 10 years instead of permanent because it was a different thing. Had we done it permanently 2 years ago, it'd be allowed to continue. It only goes away when it expires. So there are permanent substitute levies and emergency levies that they can't get rid of them. So, again, that's a big one. House Bill 129. I would just encourage you guys to pay attention to that and advocate for substitutes being allowed to be renewed in there, just like emergencies. The biggest one that I think we all need to be paying attention to is House Bill 186. And I want to start by saying, I think I said it there a little bit ago, not as directly. I recognize that right now our taxpayers' property taxes have gone up dramatically in the last several of years. And I, myself, as a taxpayer, right, knows what that impact has been, and we need some reform. We need property tax reform. We didn't get into this situation because schools were passing too many levies. We've become over-reliant on property taxes because state revenue has not kept up with inflation. And in fact, with Lebanon City Schools, we're getting less state revenue per pupil than a lot of other places in the state of Ohio. And so we have a broken system. A lot of these bills are being proposed to fix the symptom, not the root cause. And so we're trying to chip away at property taxes when the reality is we have a much bigger issue, which is state revenue and how schools are funded that way. So the purpose of House Bill 186 would be to cap the growth of schools rates that are on the 20 mil floor. So Lebanon City Schools currently is on the 20 mil floor. The last bill I just talked about would move substitutes under the floor and put them in the floor. If House Bill 129 passes, we would no longer be on the floor because those substitute mills would come in and count towards the floor. I don't know why it doesn't count now. That's just the way the law was before. So the capping the growth of school districts to the rate of inflation, not the rate of reappraisal. So the reappraisal in 2024 for us was 29% increase for Lebanon City Schools residents. The inflationary rate was 16.5%. So instead of a 29% increase, they would have a 16.5% increase for those people that are at the floor. What does this mean, dollars and cents? If all that stuff is lost on you, here's the dollars and cents of this. Over the next 3 years, if this passes, Lebanon City Schools in local tax dollars would lose $2.3 million in the first year, $2.3 million in the second year, and $2.8 million in the third year. That's 4.5% of our revenue in 1 year, 4.5% of our revenue in the next year, and 5.3% of our revenue in the third year. Approximately $8 million over a 3-year period that we've currently already budgeted for in our 5-year forecast, that we have committed to in collective bargaining agreements, that we have plans for capital improvements built around. And so it would be, originally, House Bill 186 would say, we're going to cap this growth and the state's going to pay the difference. The state's going to hold the schools harmless. In an amendment, they pulled out the portion where the state would make the schools whole. So that's been removed. And they want to get and go backwards for 2 fiscal years and take back from districts what was given to them in local property taxes that was above the inflationary rate. All the while not backfilling it with state dollars. And so this clawback that they're talking about going backwards for us would make that, $8 million even worse. because we've already started collecting some of that within the last year. So House Bill 186, while I and our associations support emergencies and substitutes becoming part of the 20 mil floor, it needs to be happening, in our opinion, when reappraisal happens the next time around, not immediately, and capping it at the rate of inflation, not looking backwards. We're begging for them not to go backwards, but to make this at the time of the next reappraisal, which for us is in a year and a half or something like that. The other thing it's important to know, and this is in the weeds, but it's all part of the failed, broken system, is we receive state money and the percentage of state money based off of how wealthy the state formula says we are. So as property values go up and median income of our residents goes up, the state says we have the local capacity to pay a lot more money. And so under this situation, our wealth looks much wealthier. And so we're going to get less state funding as a result of the reappraisal, but we're going to be losing this money that they're trying to take back in property taxes. So it's going to negatively impact us on the state formula, which makes it even worse for us in terms of revenue stream. It's complicated, and I'm trying to watch testimony in Columbus to see what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. I really think they're grasping at straws to try to figure out how to reduce property tax burden for residents, but there's not a holistic plan to figure out the big picture, what's really causing it. And so that's we're in a bad place right now, where those things begin to compound. And then lastly is House Bill 335. It passed out of the House. It's currently in the Senate. 186, by the way, is still in the House Ways and Means Committee. I expect a vote this week for that to come out to the full House. House Bill 335 is moved over to the Senate, and that seeks to cap the growth of inside mills, so unvoted mills that are a part of Ohio law. We collect some of them. They want to cap that rate to the rate of inflation also, not the rate of reappraisal. So they all kind of work similarly together, but it's all trying to push that back down. And so I'm working on something to get out to our community that tries to make this like easy talking points and reasonable requests. The problem is it's complicated, and I'm not being able to boil it down yet. So I just want to make sure you guys were all aware. I'm trying to copy the board on any communication I have with legislators, and ask that you continue to reach out to Adam Matthews, Steve Wilson, and advocate for, we need to look at a big picture solution here. Is there something that the state can do in year one to hold districts harmless as they make some of these tax breaks for local property taxes that allows them to look at a bigger solution going forward? Commit to something bigger, but make sure schools can operate and don't lose that money in the first year. That's, I think, our best option and solution right now. So questions you have for that? It's a lot of information, but do anybody have any questions?
Remind us again when the current funding formula was found to be unconstitutional.
It's in the
You can ballpark it.
1997.
1997,
I
they've
believe.
not done anything to fix that. So that's my comment on that one.
Yep. So it's been a while. It's been 30 years, I believe. So
30 years. So I was wrong when I said 20 years of bad policy. It's been 30.
well, the 20 years of bad policy have been what the recent reports have talked about, other changes that have happened that have shifted the burden away from businesses. And in the last 20 years, we've seen the abatement of property in the state of Ohio go from $7 billion to $27 billion. When you abate commercial property, it shifts the tax burden even further towards residents and farmers. And so the decisions that have made us more business-friendly in lowering the taxes for business have created more of a burden on residents and farmers. So that's the type of thing they're referring to when they talk about the policy decisions of the last 20 years, so. Okay, thanks for sorry for the downer there, but,
Yes.
I think we need to pay attention. I'm also going to tell the board I think I'm going to, begin testifying more in Columbus on behalf of the district and against or for some of these things, just so our voice can be heard there. Not that our guys that represent us aren't, but I think it's important for us to make sure that we have a presence. And I'm joining with other schools that are saying, us too, this is what's going on, and force them to kind of deal with it in those committees where a lot of the work is happening. So I will let you guys know when that happens, but I really think it's the step. For a long time, I felt like what happens in Columbus and Washington, I have my own problems here in Lebanon to deal with. But the reality is what's happened in Columbus and Washington is really controlling what's happening here in Lebanon, and so, or impacting it. So I feel like it's going to have to be a shift in focus and mentality for me on that, so.
Thank you. Moving on to board committee reports. Mr. Gliotti, we'll start off with you with our CAT committee.
We will have our next meeting next month, so we'll have an update at that time.
Okay. Legislative update, Ms. Cope.
Isaac covered those House bills that are in committee or have passed through. One thing that I found that occurred a couple weeks ago, and I thought this was actually a positive, so we're going to try to go on the positive side of the legislative things. Governor DeWine created an Ohio School Bus Safety Grant Program. He has, this grant is $10 million that can go, it's a competitive grant, and schools can apply to get repair, replace, and add authorized school bus safety features and also new buses. And so as we look at the money that we've saved from buses, I think this is offering an opportunity for schools to continue to have safer transportation, more economical transportation. So I thought that was one positive thing from our governor. And that's all I have.
Do we
Is that-
know
is
if that
that 10
applies to
million?
our bus?
Is that 10 million per school district?
No,
or the
it's a
entire
$10
state?
million competitive grant, so it can go to any, this came out, okay, so this is something actually, it starts, you can apply October 15th, and it closes November 14th, so it's only open for 1 month to apply. So,
And last I heard, Mr. Butler in the business department was going to look into potentially for the new buses, but some safety
yeah, so
features
there's
for
some
those.
safety features for buses that we already have, but repairs for maybe some of the ones that are still in line to be replaced, and then possibly new buses. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lane, Warren County Career Center.
Yeah, we met last week. We moved that meeting up to hit the 4-year forecast date. Is that no longer 5-year? So we had that last week, talked about what that looks like. We also focused on finding new ways to increase the number of accepted students at the Career Center. Because every year, I think we turn away about 10 to 20% more than the previous year. So trying to find room for more students to enroll in those classes up there. That's it.
That's it. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 6, and I'm going to do 2 motions here. The first motion will be A1, and then the second motion I will ask is for A2. So I am looking for a motion to approve item A1, the minutes from our regular meeting dated Monday, September 15th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Hearing none. Ms. Irvin, the roll, please.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Okay, I will also need a motion for A2, signing of the minutes from our special meeting Monday, October the 6th.
So moved.
Second?
Questions? Ms. Irvin, roll, please.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes. Agenda item number 7, I need a motion to approve, I need a motion to open discussion on the financial consent items A through G, please.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Irvin?
Yes. I have a fairly quick presentation tonight. We are looking at the new forecast that I've submitted to the state. Again, knowing that this forecast is a month early, and so we don't have as much data driving it as we normally do in our November. This also adds that new calendar year, so 2030, or school year, I guess. And then it removes 2024. So it's a big shift in what we're looking at. And I won't spend too much time with this because we went in great detail in our last meeting on this. But this is our new forecast. So we're still looking at needing new money, 27 to 28, depending, obviously, on what happens in legislature.
This does not include any of the things I just talked about,
Correct.
correct?
Correct. This is assumptions as of today, as if nothing changes. And this is just that visual. Again, when we're looking at 3 months of expenses, of course, our expenses are increasing, but roughly we're looking around 19 to 21 million. We drop below that in 28, according to this forecast. So previously, I was saying we could, if we get new money in 2029, we'll be okay. Again, depending on how things shake out and really how our expenses and our revenues shake out. We could be looking to go to the ballot in 27 to start collecting in 2028, since our amounts very much go below that 3-month expenditure. So we'll be keeping an eye on this. I do my next update now in February. So hopefully some of the legislature will have shaked out, and we'll give you an update on that as well. Okay, 3 months in, so we've got 1 full quarter of data here. Our current operating days of cash is 129. We'd love to stay at 120. We anticipate ending the year at 105. So honestly, all things considered, pretty good. We've been doing great over the last few years, but our revenues stay pretty static and our expenses increase, of course. We've been talking a lot about inflation. All of our expenses, a lot of our expenses are payroll, and so those have the standard annual increase. So we're still looking good, still tracking. This compares to the new October forecast. So that gray bar, just in case there's any confusion there, it does go out in a straight line. That's just assuming that we don't get anything beyond the end of September. The end of September. We've already received revenue for October, so no fears there. But that is just assuming a stop point, so that's why it's a flat line. I believe we will start to see that normal trend. It's that time of year, and if you want to go to the next slide, that we've received that first influx of property tax revenue. So 3 months in, we should look at our targets around 25% on both the revenues and expense side. Because our primary revenue is property tax, we always see in this first quarter, we see that we receive more than that target. That is because we have 2 buckets, 2 windows, really, for property taxes. We've just passed one of them. The next will come later in this year. Over the next couple of months, that percentage will trend back to the target, but right now it is showing higher. You can see there the variance is very low to what we expected. So what I did there, just to let you know, I did match the revenues that we received in property tax to what we received, very close, because the only thing I have to go off of is what we received last year. And taxpayers are notorious for paying when they feel like paying. Sometimes that's the first part of the year, sometimes that's the second part of the year, sometimes that's in 2 payments, sometimes that's in 1. So almost always the first payment we get and the second payment we get are different, but in total, the full year should equate. So this first part is hard for me to say, is this what we are expecting? I really have to look at property tax in total. So just a heads up on that one. On the expense side, we've spent roughly 23%. We have a larger variance on that one. This is really similar to the variance we saw last month. So these first few months, we're really jumping into school, figuring out who our kids are, what do our kids need. If you recall, we just said last year, the last quarter, fourth quarter, was when we spent the most for special education needs. We also have different curriculum needs as we're figuring out our plans for the next year. We've already started the budgeting process, but those kind of things between materials and supplies and our purchase services, those are the ones that fluctuate the most throughout the year. But still, even at that, we're under target, so that's great.
Just real quick, that one, we'll see catch up once, like, the fall supplementals get paid out.
Yes.
That'll be one of the things to
Yes.
close the gap.
Yes. Yeah. Great point.
No questions for Karen? All right. I'll read off the other items on the list. Monthly reports, these are our regular reports that we get, and our amended appropriations. D is the typical amended certificate of estimate resources. E are some fund transfers.
So just to talk about these a little bit, there are several here. They're really housekeeping items. So we're looking at this first one, 16 cents and $1.84. I just don't like to keep those hanging out doing nothing. So we're going to move it into the fund that is literally for the same purpose, but for this year. So that's that first one. The second and third one both are very similar in what we're doing. These are funds that we used to have. So the math grades 6 to 8 was a specific curriculum that we purchased ahead of time with district funds, and then we were assigning a student fee portion for the deliverables to those families. We found out that this curriculum wasn't meeting the need that we needed it to, so we stopped using it a year early. We had already made all the payments, but as such, it's just sitting there. The payments are there, but as you know, student fees can be paid at any time. They're not necessarily paid on time. So this is asking, let's just move that money over into the general fund so we can use it for curriculum. As it's intended, we don't have this math 6 to 8 curriculum in use anymore. Same thing with the virtual learning. This was previous to my time here, but I believe it had something to do with COVID and providing something to our students. It's a fee, it's sitting out there, and we're not using it anymore. So again, closing it, moving it to the general fund so we can use it for students' needs in our world today. And then also, of course, this means closing these funds. Any future fees would go straight into the general fund, so I don't have to come back to you and say, hey, can we do this transfer again?
Very good. F is going to be a list of donations, and there's some pretty good ones. The high school boosters with almost $10,000. The Warren County Historical Society over 3. Chipotle, almost $700. Greatly appreciated. And G is the activity purpose and budget statements for 3 different funds.
I just want to mention real quick, the boosters, the $4,000 there for dumbbells for the weight room at the high school. We were in desperate need for some updates in that facility. Things were breaking and kind of in bad shape. And we were probably not going to be able to update the equipment because the cost of repairing the floor, which is shown up on the health inspector's report as being a trip hazard. The rubber floor was starting to be a problem there. Scott Butler, Jamie Buchert with the business department applied for a Bureau of Workmen's Comp grant and putting in floors because of a slip, trip, or fall hazard. They were able to get, $40,000? $40,000 to pay for the new flooring in the weight room at the high school. So the Bureau of Workmen's Comp is going to be helping us put a new floor down there, which meant that we could use some of the money in other places as well. So that helped defer that, pass that cost off to somebody else. And then the boosters came in and are donating money to update the weight room, dumbbells. So that, there's going to be some facelift out there, but also like to say, any time that those guys in the business department can help track down some grants for us, we're working hard to do things like that on a daily basis. So kudos to Scott and Jamie.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments on agenda items 7A through G? Hearing none, Ms. Irvin, roll please.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Agenda number 8, public records request, and the board does acknowledge the receipt of the public records request as presented in your board packet. Moving on to number 9, policies. May I have a motion to approve the first reading of the following 35 policies, please?
So moved.
Second.
First and seconded.
Do you have to vote on those, right? First readings? Yeah.
Yes.
Any questions or comments about that?
I had a question.
Yeah.
So we just updated some of these October 21st of last year. Is there a reason why because some of those hadn't been revised in a long time, and then we revised them last year, now we're revising them again. So I was just curious why.
Almost all of these, actually all of these, were because there was a state law change or some sort of federal law change. So the non-discrimination, of the 35, I want to say like 19 of them are about the same thing. They're just titled different things in different ways. So for example, non-discrimination, prohibition of discrimination based on disability, all of those things in there, all were made because of the same federal law shift. And what was included, protected class was in some of those. And those things are just changes that were required by law. A couple of them also, you see we rescinded a few policies because those were covered in like standalone, for example, policy 4122.02, number 16 down there. That was something that was a standalone non-discrimination, but so we're going to rescind it, not that it's going away, but it was also included in a non-discrimination policy someplace else. So they combined some, and some of these things, there were very small changes, but like with Neola, once they open up the policy, if it hasn't been approved in a long time, Neola says, then we're going to take some opportunities to change some language things that are, making policies where it says he/she, they just get rid of it and says the person, right? And things like that. So some of those things are cleanups. All of these were due to a change in law, either at the state or the federal level. So if you have any specific questions about some of them, I can, I feel like, to be completely honest with you, we're going to touch some of these almost every year as long as we keep going back, and when a Supreme Court case gets filed or resolved or a law changes, something's going to change on some of these based off of the law.
I was just curious, because I noticed the dates, we hadn't touched them in a long time, and then we did it last year and then again this year, so I was just curious, that was
Yep.
all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Ms. Irvin, roll please.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Agenda number 10, other educational consent items. I need a motion to approve the consent items A, 1 through 6, which are our winter sports handbooks.
Second.
Questions? Ms. Irvin?
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Number 11, these are personnel consent items. I'm looking for a motion to approve the personnel consent items A through O. A through O, please.
So moved.
Second.
And I will go ahead and read through those. A is retirements. B is a list of resignations. C is the separation of employment. D is employment pending BCI FBI checks for new hires. E is substitute employment. E1 is for classified substitutes. E2 is substitute trainee bus drivers. E3 is substitute van driver. E4 is permanent building subs. F is a change of status. G is a list of supplementals. One list at the high school, one list at the junior high. H is our board resolution for the employment of non-licensed coaches. I is the supplemental volunteer coach. One name's concerning, but we will let it go. J is volunteers. K1 is a leave of absence. K2, additional reports in Ms. Irving's office. L is 2 stipends. M is a list of curriculum leads. N is our PSAT administration and support people. O is our special education stipends.
Question.
Yep.
In L, for Mr. Guerrero, it says $80 a day. Is that additional pay or in lieu of pay?
It's additional pay, so we're paying him the difference
$80 a
between,
day, never mind.
we're paying him the difference between an assistant principal and a principal's daily rate for the period of time that he's acting as the Bowman
I
principal.
read that wrong.
Yep.
Any other questions about agenda item 11, A through O, our personnel consent?
So just, we're starting to see some more teachers taking advantage of the change in STRS, right?
Yeah, so we had a decent number of retirements this past spring, which obviously led to what Karen talked about at the last meeting, a higher number of dollar amount associated with severance, which kind of contributed to the end of the fiscal year surge there. But the teachers, if teachers inform us prior to November, sometime in November, we can get it approved before December, then we don't have to go through the evaluation process for them under Ohio law. And so, if they're not worried about it being evaluated, then they'll just wait and tell us later. But a lot of them, like, if I know I'm going, I might as well tell you now, and we'll save them the evaluation process and us. So we're going to see some. I think that maybe slightly less this year compared to what we had last year. But that's.
And I'm kind of calling it out because there's been comments made in the public that we have had an increase in the number of teachers leaving the district, which is false. We've had an increase in number of teachers retiring because STRS changed the rules, which allowed them to retire sooner.
Yeah, the law changed last year pretty quickly towards the end of the year, and people took advantage of it last minute.
The number of teachers leaving the district to go elsewhere has not increased. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
And these retirements, are, we will look at every position like we have since we got here, to see, do our numbers still dictate the replacement of that? Do we have, in terms of right-sizing staff and things like that? And so we are, we're beginning that process already. We're beginning the process and have made decisions on replacing Kim Gregg and Pat Tipton, who are administrative assistants here in central office. Those two ladies have been longtime employees of the district, and they're going mid-year. And so some of these things will happen sooner rather than later in terms of transitions, so.
Additional questions? Ms. Irving, roll, please.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Agenda number 12, I'm going to have to separate these guys too, like we did earlier. I am going to look for a motion for agenda number 12, item A1, approve the MOU with the LEA. I'm not going to read all that.
So moved.
Second?
Any questions about that?
Just as a heads up to the board-approved board policy on rehire for employees this past summer. What we're trying to do in these MOUs is making sure that we spell out if an employee wants to retire and be considered for rehiring after that, then what's the process look like? And so each individual bargaining unit, there was some sort of an arrangement on, what was in their contract, what are the contract provisions that would apply to that. That was probably, I think, about a June, maybe sometime around June, that the board approved those board policies. I mean, we've been working on these memorandums of understanding since then.
Any questions about agenda 12A1? Ms. Irvin, roll, please.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to agenda number 12A2, approve the MOU with the Ohio Association of Public School Employees.
So moved.
Second.
I'm assuming that's the same difference,
Same thing.
same thing. Any questions? Ms. Irvin?
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And agenda number 12B is to approve the resolution to authorize the SOEP Council to advertise and receive bids on behalf of Lebanon City Schools Board of Education for the purchase of 20 school buses.
So moved.
Second. Any estimate on the age of the ones we're looking to retire in this?
We are using the same spreadsheet that we did the initial time we used the 20, or we replaced the 20. I'm assuming, I haven't looked at the exact years, but I'm assuming it's similar to what we did that first go-around, that it wasn't as much age as it was cost. So yes, some of the older ones, but also some of the ones that were just high in maintenance cost. I know there's also special education buses this go-around that we've needed to Isaac, do you remember the year?
No, that's a great explanation.
Okay,
That's
okay.
fine.
Any other questions? Ms. Irvin, please roll.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Agenda number 13, board comments. Mrs. Cope, anything to add?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Gliotti.
Quick thank you to Scott Butler and his team on that safety grant. How that is obtained for the district and the taxpayers. Scott is a regular attendee to the Warren County Safety Council. It's a pretty dry meeting. It meets every month, but in that meeting, the state gives an opportunity to communicate different grants and initiatives that they have. It's not a slam dunk. Mr. Butler must have recognized the opportunity there and prepared a very good justification for it. So that's $40,000 to the district that I think needs to be noted and thanked. Great job.
I think it's important to point out that at the last meeting that you're referring to, he was sitting beside the person from the state who was there, and he brought up that we had applied but not heard back from a grant. We heard back on the grant within the next several days. So it matters to go to those meetings and to have those conversations.
Agreed.
Thank you. Mr. Lane?
I do not, thank you.
Nothing. The only comment I have is this Friday, October 24th, Senior Day, Lebanon High School versus Winton Woods, and there's a rumor that we're shooting off fireworks.
There will be some fireworks at various times, and particularly at the end of what we hope is a victory.
Okay. Should the board be concerned about the expertise of the pyrotechnics engineer in charge of that?
It is a ROSI famous fireworks shoot. All the safety precautions and expertise will be in place.
I would like to add to that, and I'm
I'll
glad
be
you
very
brought it
careful,
up.
everybody.
The senior
Mike's lighting them
night,
off.
the senior night tradition that happens at the end of the game is one that it's neat to see, where all the seniors get to go out on the field, regardless of sport, regardless of activity, and walk across, often hand in hand, as a celebration of what they've accomplished over the years at Lebanon schools.
Excellent.
Great. It's going to be great. So thank you for doing that. That's why I'm kind of teasing you a little bit.
Glad to help anywhere we
Yeah,
can.
and I mean, it looks like we've got some, at least one playoff game that's going to happen, and, maybe two, but Friday, everybody needs to come out. And like Mr. Lane said, when you see all those kids just streaming out of the bleachers and they all walk together, it's pretty cool. Also, our state championship softball team will be getting their rings. I believe the boosters purchased for them. Is that correct?
Yep.
Boosters yep.
The other thing is to point out, the boosters are paying for the fireworks
Fireworks
display,
as well.
not the Lebanon City Schools. They have a sponsor.
And a sponsor.
The Weiler Group, I believe, is the
Awesome.
sponsor.
Just so you know, board members, I know that Keith Pantling had sent all of you an email inviting you to be a part of the ring ceremony. So if you check your emails and reply, if you will be in attendance on Friday night and you'd like to be a part of that and being on the field during that, then you're invited to do so. So make sure.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great night. I mean, and anybody that wasn't there for the military appreciation night, that was great too. So, you ain't got nothing else to do October 24th anyways. Come on down. Agenda number 14, adjournment. I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll.
Mrs. Cope?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Gliotti?
Yes.
Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Meeting adjourned.